ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5, the team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
So how much credit are you taking for the Spurs, quote-unquote, listening to you?
I do believe on Twitter, I did say that they listened to me.
I will say that before the game, I was skimming around Twitter and saw that 83.3% of teams that win Game 3 in a 1-1 series in the finals go on to win. However, the Spurs were up 2-1 last year.
Let's not talk about that.
So,
Last year, everything about last year's series wasn't
fair.
Not that it wasn't fair. Nothing was normal about that series. A lot of weird things happened. Then again, this year, a lot of weird things are happening again.
Yeah, something really weird happened last night, or something momentous, if you will.
Something momentous indeed. Another momentous thing, we have Nick Steblenko on the show. That's a momentous occasion every day.
I was going to say there's some momentum going along with me because now I have 2 wins in a row in daily fantasy baseball.
Is it all tied up?
It is tied up again, 8-8. But the best part is, like we keep mentioning that I'm getting a little bit better. You're getting better. But the best part is the last 2 days combined, you've beaten me by, 1.3 points in 2 days?
Yeah, well, I mean, if Detroit didn't get rained out and if I had noticed that, then we would have had a totally different story on it.
Well, that might be the case. We both had Verlander in. I ended up switching him out. The problem was I couldn't find anybody I liked under the 10,000 mark to fit in for Verlander, so I had to switch out 2 pitchers instead. I didn't get A.J. Brennan, who I liked. Ended up having one of the top scorers for pitchers. So it kind of screwed with my lineup a little bit, but that tends to happen. I mean, you need to wait until the last second. You need to look at scores and all this crap. You need to look at weather. There's a lot of deciding factors in baseball.
I traditionally, if there's like 60 or above chance of rain, I traditionally just shy away from the game and start looking at other contests.
Well, the funny thing is, like an hour before that, the San Diego-Philadelphia game, there was an 80% chance of rain, and I ended up shying away from Burnett, even though I wanted him. He was my top guy. And it turns out that game was fine. Burnett pitched like 8 innings. So thanks a lot, weather.com game stat, whatever the heck they use. It just annoys the crap out of me. Not a fan. But you know what, Nick? Today is a new day. I feel like I'm going to turn the boat around. What do you think?
I do not share that sentiment with you.
He certainly doesn't want you to.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Before we end up turning this boat around and talking about today's lineup on StarFantasyLeagues.com, let's get into our accountability segment where we go over yesterday's plays of the day and actually tell you how we did, good or bad. Most sites don't like to be accountable. Star Fantasy League Show, we're always accountable for our picks. Zach, kick us off.
I really have nothing to kick off because my accountability is a DNP.
I do believe you had one. I know you picked Miguel Cabrera and you picked Justin Verlander. DNP, that doesn't count because we weren't on the show to actually hear the rain out. But you did have a certain value play that went absolutely boom boom.
Yeah, I had Simmons.
You did. Andrews and Simmons, one of the highest scores of the night, 11.5 fantasy points. I think he was around 5,500 too. Good pick.
That's value.
Look at that. We're talking about good value.
That's value plus right there.
I think you had the Detroit stack too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I think you did. Okay.
So.
All right, Nick, what you got?
I had an Atlanta stack. They scored 13 runs in a 13-10 win over Colorado.
Man, you could go really wrong on that stack though, because I had 4 guys in and they didn't really kill it for me. Because Freeman and LaStella were big, but then I had Hayward 3.5. I had the good Upton did bad, and the bad Upton did good last night. Thanks, BJ.
That is the case. Evan Gattis hit a home run.
Yep.
Simmons hit a home run. We already said that. So yeah, there was a ton of runs. Yeah, I guess a little bit of luck was involved with that one. So.
They had a great matchup. That was.
No, I know what I'm saying, but to your point,
the
fact that those
right
couple
guys.
of guys weren't involved in the melee, it is what it is. That happens. So, I was in the same boat with Zach. I had Ian Kinsler and Verlander both postponed. My value play was Mike Olt. That was not a good one. He had 2 strikeouts.
Negative Olt.
Yeah, he got 2 strikeouts pulled midway through the game. Not a whole lot to love there. It was a shot. It was a roll of the dice. He was under 4,000 I guess I just won't use him again.
That's the thing. You have to get lucky. Like, you saw a couple nights ago, some people put Van Slyke in their lineup, and he went for, 20-plus points, under $5,000?
Two home runs, just a great game all around.
Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. The funny thing is the numbers looked right for Alt, as they did for Van Slyke about a couple days ago, but one gets negative points, one gets the biggest number we've seen in a while. So it just tends to happen like that when you see matchups.
He is actually the son of ex-Pittsburgh Pirate great Andy Van Slyke?
Yes, you did post that on Twitter. At SFL Zach, I believe.
Well, they had a ESPN commercial going through all the sons that are currently in Major League Baseball.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, holy crap.
That makes
sense.
So
I guess there isn't some great history of Van Slyke's. It's just this one Van Slyke family.
All right, speaking of families, I'm going to make Nick say, who's your daddy after I beat him tonight. So let's move on to that.
You couldn't do that if you tried.
All right,
and you're not going to win. So
let's get to Wednesday's lineup breakdown.
Let's do this.
Time for your Star Fantasy Leagues MLB Fantasy Lineup Breakdown.
All righty. I feel like I'm in a little bit of deja vu with my lineup. I'm at a little bit of crossroads. On my rundown, I have every single Atlanta Brave from yesterday who went crazy. So I'm going to put all those guys in, hoping that they actually have deja vu and they do the same thing again.
It's another great matchup. You're still in Colorado. This could be another great big game.
So that basically just means Hayward's going to go off tonight.
Well, let's say whoever I don't put in, it means, okay, so Nick, in your lineup, just put the Atlanta Braves I don't play because they're clearly going to go off.
Way ahead of you, John.
Oh, great. All right, so again, for the second night in a row, I do have 4 Atlanta Braves. This time it's a different 4, though. I have Tommy La Stella. I think he's the same as last night. Chris Johnson, if he does play, is an excellent value, $3,500, the absolute minimum. I got Andrelton Simmons in again. He's at $5,296. And my last one is the other Upton, BJ Upton.
So you went low ball stack.
I did because, honestly, today is all about pitchers for my lineup. I wanted to start with that, but I had to get, since we were talking about the Atlanta Braves, I wanted to get them all in. Any of those guys you aren't interested in putting in, or is it just kind of Atlanta or Boston?
No, I mean, Atlanta's a great stack. So I think that from top to bottom, you can find whoever you want to find, you can put in. I tend to stick more towards the heart of the lineup just because that's where most of the runs historically come from in the game.
Which kind of makes sense.
But, I mean, you can also you can utilize that. I think I understand where you're going with your strategy. You can utilize that to get those big-name pitchers in. I'm assuming you probably have Tanaka in there, which is already $21,000.
What are you talking about? Tunuku?
Masuhiro.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, I wanted to talk about my pitchers first because normally we kind of just shove the pitchers in at the end. I usually just whatever. But, yeah, Masahiro Tanaka is my play of the day. Honestly, every time he gets in there, he's kind of a consistent 10 to 15 points, and to build your lineup around 10 to 15 points already in your pocket is pretty solid.
Yeah, 9-1, I think his record is. His ERA is the best in the AL. He really is the phenom that they made him out to be, and it's just unfortunate that the Red Sox had to miss the boat on this one instead of Matsuzaka.
I'll say we got Dice K, and he put up a nice game the other day. Thanks, Dice K.
Dice K's killing it.
Yeah, not for our team.
Yeah.
Not for the team that gave him $100 million. You jerk. All right, my other pitcher, we did talk about this yesterday. There's a couple pitching changes. You still got about 2 hours in there. Since Verlander didn't pitch the other day, he's going today instead of Drew Smyly. And instead of one bad lefty, we got another bad lefty for Chicago. John Danks is pitching and not who was actually scheduled? I don't even remember. Oh, it was Andre Rienzo was scheduled, but obviously Danks has now moved up into that spot. So equally as terrible, but I still think whatever that Detroit matchup was, I still like I like Verlander, so I got him in.
I'm pretty much shifting over all the Detroit guys that I had in last night. I think that all the matchup's the same. There's nothing really changed.
Well, I had them stacked 2 days in a row, so we're pretty much just shifting that.
I was going to say, if you were listening to Home Fry Tuesday, then you definitely know that it is time to put in Detroit and to eat home fries from Dogtown, right? Was that what we came up with yesterday?
Yes. Dogtown was the subject of home fries.
Yeah, all right. If you guys want to tweet us at SFL Show, tell us what food we're talking about every Tuesday, because apparently it's food day on the Star Fantasy League show, Tuesdays.
Yeah, a little excerpt on our food preferences and condiments we like to use on them, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. All right, for my last pitcher, I'd like to give a semi-apology. It's not really an apology to Nick. We had Kyle Kendrick in there. I saw him on several sites, and then all of a sudden I looked this morning, Cole Hamilton's on those sites
now. A semi-apology that is not an apology.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I mean, because honestly,
he basically just excused everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's I'm an apologist. Whatever, it happens. But yeah, Cole, like we said, whoever was starting for Philly is a definite top play because of their matchup. San Diego, it's just not that good on offense. They strike out on a high clip, 30th.
They're horrible against left-handed pitchers, and Hamels he's pitching very well lately. He looks like vintage Cole. I love the way he's doing everything.
Vintage Cole.
He is. He's great. He is fantastic. He is the kind of guy that can control a game and go deep into a game. And we just haven't seen that from him a lot in the past year or so because, frankly, Philadelphia really hasn't been where they were 5 years ago.
Yep. I mean, a little bit of a consolation prize goes to Yu Darvish. If I had not had Masahiro Tanaka in there, he's going up against Miami, who they strike out quite a bit as well, and he's one of the top strikeout pitchers of the night. So
we're pretty much going to have almost the same exact pitchers with the exception of Tanaka tonight.
Yeah.
All right.
That makes sense.
I like
All
that.
right, so I talked about Atlanta. I went with a couple mini stacks as well. I went with two of your Detroit guys because, come on now, Detroit has a great matchup again against what is it?
John Danks.
Yeah, thank you, John. Because I keep seeing Rienzo on here. I know he switched out for Danks. Danks not good. Avila's a nice little value play in there. I got a lot of guys under 5,000.
Well, you have to. You have Tanaka in there. If you don't. You can't. You just
gotta
can't make it happen.
You got to make a couple sacrifices, but it's always better to make those sacrifices in your lineup because batters can be so inconsistent.
Yeah, you can find like cheap bats like Avila. If he gets you 2-3 points, you're happy.
Or he blasts one out.
Yeah, that might be true. And then I got the guy who's probably going to blast one out against Danks, Miguel Cabrera, almost $10,000, starfantasyleagues.com. But I feel like he's probably the top play of the day.
You know, the guys that I had in yesterday were Kinsler, Austin Jackson, and Torrey Hunter. All three of them, I really feel like they have a great shot to go yard. And they have pretty good price tags on them. So Kinsler actually has really good numbers against Danks lifetime. I think he has 4 home runs out of like 38 at-bats or something.
Yeah, certainly not a bad park to be playing in, actually more favorable than them being at home.
Yep, This is true. Yeah, Chicago's a nice little place to knock out some home runs. So hopefully Miggy gets on the board with one tonight, or any of the Detroit Tigers. Go with all of them. Try to stack. Atlanta's another good stack, so you got a couple places to choose. Also, New York Yankees is an out-of-the-box stack for tonight. I kind of like their matchup quite a bit, so I put in 2 of the outfielders only. I want to know how you think about this. I actually like the lefties here. Ellsbury and Brett Gardner. Not super powerful hitters, but guys that can put up solid 4 to 5 point nights.
Those are great guys to have in the top of the order, too, because I think they're like Gardner's 1 and Ellsbury's been hitting 3.
Yeah,
those are great guys to have because not only can they hit for power, they can also run the bases extremely well, like
for
among
one
the
stolen
best in the
base,
league.
Yep, something like that.
So, yeah, you got great numbers
And
there.
Chris Young, honestly, his numbers don't look horrible, but when you look deeper, 25.8 ground ball percentage, almost 4 walks a game. Just his numbers look really dirty.
Can you say that ground ball percentage again?
28.5%.
25.8.
25.8. Wow, I am dyslexic today, and it's
I
insane.
feel like we did that same thing with him yesterday.
Yep,
That
all
is
right.
horrendous.
You got to imagine that ERA is just going to climb.
And my last player, I love him so much, John Singleton. 3 strikeouts tonight, 1 home run, guaranteed. Every single night. He's a powerful lefty. His price has already risen quite a bit.
It all comes out in the wash.
Yep, we'll see. I think I'm gonna turn it around tonight. I'm gonna have you saying who's your daddy, Nick. It's gonna happen.
You're not.
All right, coming after the break, it's time for John Old's mailbag,
No,
and you're
it's
listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Welcome back. It's that time of day. It's John Old's mailbag.
Good day for the mailbag.
Come on. It's always a good day. It's my favorite time of the day, every single day, except for Tuesday. Tuesday is special.
This is a very positive response we're getting here.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if the Heat had won last night, I probably wouldn't be as excited for the mailbag.
That is true. Let's be honest. How much fun was that game to watch? I watched. That's the first finals game I watched every single minute, just because it was so.
It was cool that we got to see the highest field goal percentage in a half in the NBA Finals since the shot clock era began, which is 1955.
Whew.
So
that's pretty
amazing.
awesome.
Well, it was also awesome that Popovich put it into perspective. He said, "This is not going to happen again. We're going to move forward, and we're going to continue to play a great game."
Well, considering it's only happened once in 60 years.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's get right into it then. Let's not jump around the subject. Kenny L writes, the San Antonio Spurs put on an offensive clinic on Tuesday night to take a 2-1 series lead over the Heat. Have you ever seen a more impressive team performance in a finals game? The emphasis on the word team, because honestly, it seems like everybody played a major role in this game for the San Antonio Spurs, not just one guy.
The Spurs are classically they're a classic example of the team approach to the game. And no, I personally I can't. But then again, I haven't watched as much basketball as you guys. So.
The first 15 minutes of that game was the best basketball I've ever seen.
That was just, I mean,
for sure.
I don't even know how to explain it. Was Miami just that inept on D? Because it looked like they were just cuts to the basket every time.
There were tons of layups, which was like, oh, they're shooting the lights out, and yes, they were from three, but almost every one of those threes was wide open. And they had tons of layups.
But that's the beauty of basketball. That's how the game really works. If you can shoot really well from beyond the arc, then you're going to start seeing the ability to drive into a lane, and vice versa. If you drive the lane, you're going to see a lot of open kickouts. So them making those shots, I think, is what enabled them to continue moving the basketball as easily as they were, because they either Miami had to really respect their shooting or they had to respect their drive. You can't do both all the time.
Well, the funny thing is the people that were shooting threes, like Kawhi was making threes like crazy, which is not normal. And then Danny Green was going to the basket for layups, which, again, isn't normal for this team. So you're seeing a little bit of role reversal, and Miami couldn't adjust to that.
Yeah, they were all clear looks, though, and Miami just didn't come out with any intensity whatsoever. You can say that, well, their defense wasn't horrible. It wasn't good.
Well, yeah, Kawhi Leonard was on fire, though. You remember the one from the corner where he kind of like rolled back off his own pick or something like that?
He went back to the corner.
Yeah, he rolled back and made that shot. It was just like, these are the types of things that you were kind of hoping to see from this type of player. And San Antonio being the team that they are, you don't usually see those guys just break out and take control of a half like that. It was really cool to watch that from a young star like him.
And they had the post-game interview with him, one of the most soft-spoken people
Yes.
you'll ever listen to, and you can just tell why they traded George Hill to move up to get this pick. And, it worked out perfectly for them. He is perfect for the Spurs culture of basketball. He is one of the best defenders in the league. He outplayed LeBron James last night.
Humility is a very hard thing to find in a superstar.
And literally everybody on that team has humility.
I was just saying, that's who they look for. They're not looking for the best player. They're looking for the best person to fit in, the best human being to fit into the San Antonio system.
And as much as people, in America hate against the Heat, I really think that a lot of people like the Spurs for that reason. They're a good team.
They're the anti-Heat.
Yeah, exactly. They're a good team. They have good guys. They're not bad people on the court. I don't care what they do off the court. We could have a totally different discussion about that. On the court, they're humble. They do their jobs. They work hard. It's great to watch, and that's why I think that's why we're pulling for them, I'm sure.
There was a lot of talk last night about Mario Chalmers and Norris Cole.
Oh, my God.
Mario Chalmers
Stop
was
it. He's been horrible the whole series.
He has been horrible the whole series. It's clearly something that needs to get fixed sooner rather than later. But the big problem that I had last night wasn't that. It was with Chris Bosh, who went 4 for 4 with 9 points. I think he had 9 points.
He had 12 touches.
And only 12 touches.
12.
And there was one point late, I think it was either late in the third, early in the fourth, where Kawhi Leonard was in the post and literally just backed down Chris Bosh and put up a layup.
Totally absent.
And I was just like, this is a guy that used to at least have some sort of defensive command down low, and we're not seeing that right now.
Well, he's been playing from the 3-point line. So, I know the defensive end is a different story, but he's been playing a different style of game.
And another guy that needs a little bit of a shout-out here is Boris Diaw. I think he played 34, 35 minutes in this game. He was literally getting looks in the post. Like,
How
they
about
were just
that
dumping
turnaround?
it down.
That turnaround jumper, I was like, who is this guy?
Was nasty.
He was taking command of that game on the offense. They kept mentioning, Jeff Gundy was like, hey, this team plays a lot better on offense when he actually gets looks. It's the same thing with Indiana Roy Hibbert. When they feed the ball through him on offense, it kind of opens up the game a little bit.
And they had that one pass in the first half where Manu passed it to Diaw, and Diaw tucked it under Bosch's arm or somebody. To Splitter.
Yeah.
It's just a ridiculous series of passes. And that's literally what went on the whole first half. They didn't play as well in the second half, but they held their ground. They locked the game away.
Yeah, it only got to 7. I was a little bit worried, but they're a team.
They kept bouncing. They literally kept bouncing back the whole second half.
7 to 14, then 10
and
to
it ended at
16.
19.
Yeah.
So the Spurs won the must-win game.
Honestly,
they won the series.
Let's be honest. When they played that first quarter, the first half, as well as they did, they came out like they absolutely had to win Game 3. That was the intensity they played with, and that's what I was saying, that they needed to play like that in order to. You got to win one of those games.
Yeah, like you were just saying, the Heat kept bringing the score closer and closer. They had to. You're right. They had to keep pushing, and it's so hard to win a game to go 4 quarters when you come out that hot. You build up that big of a lead. Miami wasn't playing that poorly. You know,
No.
they had 25
shooting-
in
they
the
weren't
first quarter,
shooting that poorly either.
50 at the half. Like that's not that bad. That's kind of their game.
Well, LeBron said they didn't have a lack of urgency, but they couldn't match the desperation of the Spurs.
What
How does that-
desperation?
how
It was
do-
1-1.
How does that make sense?
Oy.
I guess I get what he was going for, but that's not the way to word it.
I mean, you need to come.
He's basically saying the
it's
Spurs
game
were
free
hot.
at home. You need to come out with urgency.
Well, the rest of the crowd didn't come out, so we got to talk about that. Oh, we don't have to talk about that. It's Miami. They never show up.
Yeah, they left early again.
Yes, they did. All right, let's move on because we're going to have plenty of time to talk about Game 4 of this series. I'm excited to see where this goes. All right, moving on. Adam G. writes, with the World Cup beginning tomorrow, are you excited for it? How can the World Cup become a bigger deal in the U.S.? This question is just like, do you like soccer? Is what the question
I got
is.
an idea.
The World Cup is awesome, first off.
Yeah, I
The
can't.
World Cup
I
is
can't wait.
fun.
I've been waiting for this. First game tomorrow.
Hold
Brazil,
on.
Croatia.
Have you been waiting for it for 4 years?
Yeah,
Okay, that
pretty
makes,
much. I'm
that-
always sad when the World Cup ends.
I actually think that is the reason that people are so interested in the World Cup. If you held it every year, I don't think people would be as interested, to be honest. I
That's
really,
why people get so pumped up for the Olympics.
that is, yeah, it's the sports you don't really care about, but when it's involved with countries and it's every 4 years, you don't really get to see it as much. It definitely, you have a sense of nationalism you don't have if you do it every year.
Yeah, but there really isn't anything else like the Olympics and the World Cup because this is when you represent your country.
Yep.
So this is what gets people the most pumped up. People that do not watch soccer at all and haven't watched a soccer game in 4 years will be watching Team USA.
I will say,
Nick's like raising his hand.
No,
Like, I haven't watched it.
No,
That's me.
I haven't watched soccer at all. Well, no, what I think honestly, if soccer's to become more popular in America, look at the 4 major sports. Aside from baseball, because it is a much slower game, football very quick, very fast paced. Hockey very fast paced. Basketball very fast paced. Soccer is the type of game that takes time. It takes time to develop an offensive play. It takes time to develop a scoring chance. So it's very different from any of the sports that we look at and watch and follow so intensively in America.
In our culture of instant gratification.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, you can see that across the world to some extent. But in soccer, though, it really is. It's a beautiful game if you let it develop. And I don't think that we have the patience to let it develop.
No, we definitely do not. Like you said, instant gratification. We want it, and we want it now.
Exactly.
I got an idea. They should bring the World Cup back to the U.S. where we can actually hold a World Cup and not murder workers and pretty much just botch everything possible.
Well, I mean,
we got people in Brazil burning villages because they're getting moved out of their towns.
And there's strikes, and there's all this other stuff.
It's
seems
costing the country hundreds of millions of dollars.
Can you imagine what Qatar is going to be like? They haven't built anything yet.
Well, that's what happens
Qatar-
when you pay bribes.
Yeah, Qatar's another story.
That's going to get moved. That has to be moved, right? It's going to be.
Right now, it's
It's
certainly looks like that.
123 degrees there in the summer.
Oh, good.
How are they going to play soccer?
Over under on dead soccer players during the World Cup in Qatar.
They're
10?
talking about if they keep at this rate of workers that they have starting the process of building for the World Cup, there's going to be 4,000 deaths.
Wow. All right, can we talk about something exciting, though? The U.S. is in the group of death. They talk about this every single year. I know, right?
They just did a
That's
death
the whole,
transition.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Yeah,
the whole
good.
point. We're in the group of death. The only shining light here is that Cristiano Ronaldo, the golden boy for Portugal, he has some injury issues going on.
hampered.
You know why?
No, do not. Go ahead. Bring it up. Go ahead.
There's a voodoo witch doctor that's performing spells on his leg.
Is
that's,
that voodoo?
that's a serious story, by
That
the way.
voodoo witch doctor is just like taking credit for this injury to
Yeah.
Ronaldo. He's like, yeah, that was me, guys. Hey, how's it going?
I'll tell you what, if the United States can tie either Germany or Portugal and beat Ghana, I think we should celebrate.
Yeah, I think nobody is coming into this, if you know anything about world soccer, thinking that the U.S. is
Positive?
going
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, that something good is going to come of this. But if it does,
Yeah.
That's insane.
if it does,
Yeah.
it'll be crazy.
Well, never mind the fact that we have the second and the fourth ranked teams in the world in Germany and Portugal. We have 37th ranked Ghana, who has knocked us out of the World
I
Cup the
thought
past
Portugal
2 years.
was like 12th.
What? No, Portugal's fourth in the
Yeah.
world.
No, they're
They're
really
four.
good.
We have 2 of the top 4 in our stage. Or excuse me, in our group.
I thought Germany was 4th.
Nope, Germany's number 2.
Germany is.
I'm going to contest this.
It goes Spain, Germany, Brazil, Portugal. Those are the top 4.
It's
According to
the
FIFA
group-
rankings, which is who ranks
It's the
them.
group of death for a good reason, obviously, but it's still going to be exciting.
If Ghana knocks us out again for 3 straight World Cups by beating us in the first game, that's going to be depressing.
Well, it
basically
may
ends,
and it may not, though.
It ends your World Cup right away, though. If you lose to Ghana, you're done. It's over.
Miracles can happen.
Okay, if you lose to Ghana, that means you have to beat either Germany or Portugal to get through.
I'm trying to stay positive, John.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm trying to stay
positive.
positive.
You know I'm the king of negativity.
USA.
USA. It's really all upside. It really is, because you go in there and you're just like, all right, we can probably beat Ghana. We know that we can probably beat Ghana. It can happen.
We might be able to tie Germany.
And then and then you're like, all right, if we beat Ghana, then we need to upset one of these teams. Or even, we could still get in if we tied them, depending on how the group plays out.
Who do they play second? They play Ghana first, right?
Portugal second.
Portugal second?
Oh, goody. We got Germany
We'll see.
last.
We'll see. It might happen.
You never know.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe Germany will already have it wrapped up by winning their first 2 games.
I'm excited. I'm excited, and if we lose, then we lose.
And then we got 4 more years.
We got
4 more years.
We got screwed with this group.
Come on, Dempsey. Bring us to glory.
They're fixing our groups.
They are fixing our groups. Maybe we can bribe them next time, get a better group.
Yeah, that's what we got to get in on this bribery.
All right, coming after the break, there's no bribes to be had. We're talking Thursday MLB. Lots of baseball talk. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Donald, Teddy Bear 2, and the Deucey Moose. Only on the Team.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League show. Tweet us at SFL Show if you want to get in on the action of MLB Thursday. We're talking starfantasyleagues.com. Baseball. There's only 7 games going on.
You sure I can't bribe you, John? Just to, call it quits, call me the victor?
When it is 8-8 in the heads-up matchup between you and I on starfantasyleagues.com, I don't think it can be bribed yet. If I get up by maybe like 10-15, maybe I'll throw you some.
Is this just a season-long marathon that we're going on here?
Yeah, this is just like the baseball season. If you're 48-38 or something like that, it's a long season to be had, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe we should shorten it up and go. I don't know. Go different directions here.
As a wise man once said, now.
What do you say we put down our headphones and jet out to the sandlot?
Sounds good to me.
Oh my God, that was one of the worst transitions I have ever heard in
that
daily
was not
fantasy.
That was not a transition.
Yeah, you were trying to get us to talk about baseball. I heard what you're doing. I know what you're
No, I
trying.
was literally trying to get us to leave the office to go play baseball.
All right, we'll talk to you later, guys. No? That doesn't work?
You're supposed to let the dead air sit for a while.
Yeah, Nick, don't laugh.
Yeah, really. Nick, I made a funny joke. Don't stonewall it. Stonewall it, guys. All right, let's get to baseball talk. We're going to talk stacks first, and then we actually have a breakdown of a pitcher tier since there are only 7 games. We'll give you every single pitcher, tell you who we like, who we don't like, and who we're stacking against. Pretty easy, right?
Yeah, tomorrow's pretty tough.
I agree. There, as we noticed with the over/under numbers, nothing over 8.5 and nothing below 7.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably pick one that's 8.5 then.
That sounds like a good idea.
You are right on the right track, man. I'm going to follow you.
All right, let's get right into it. Like I said, I only like 3 or 4 stacks on the night. Zach, start us off with your top stack of the night for Thursday.
Do we have an over/under for this Arizona game?
I believe that one's right around 8.5.
I think that's one of the 8.5 ones, yeah.
Okay. I think Nick is probably with me on this. We're going to go a full game stack here.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? You're allowed to do this on starfantasyleagues.com.
Yeah, full game stack means you can put up to 4 players, positional players, pitchers don't matter, from each team.
It doesn't hurt you either way. So, I mean, as long as they don't strike out.
Honestly, this on my list, this is the only game that I'd pick people from both sides of the plate at all. I had a couple other stacks looking elsewhere. But, yeah, let's spend some time talking about this game specifically. We got our boy Wade Miley going against another one of our boys, Scott Feldman, for Houston.
This is what I like to call the chud matchup of the night.
the chud up? Is that what it is?
Shut up.
I don't think that's a term that anyone's going to understand, but
chud
sure.
is kind of like, I don't know, what's
It's
another?
like a dud. It's like
Chudud.
it's like a
Yeah,
it's a
it's
mess.
like it's like the human version of a dud.
Yeah.
Because a dud is like an action, but a chud is the noun of dud.
Okay.
Very
Sure.
well done. Yes.
I like that
That's
explanation. We're turning that into a fantasy.
Even though dud is a noun.
Could you use that in a sentence, please?
No, let's not. Well, Wade Miley's a chud. Yeah, okay.
There you go.
There it is in a sentence.
Donald lost and kind of acted like a chud.
Oh, there you go. See?
He's just shaking his head at
You
me.
were you were asking about that dead air, Nick. There's your dead air. I'm just gonna sit here and shake my head.
I
at
think
you.
I'm gonna get a post-show talking to.
No. It's fine. You're allowed to smack talk, but then don't expect me
Back
not
it
to,
up.
Don't
But then
expect me
back
to
it up.
Not
Back
mute,
it up.
mute your microphone. That's right. I actually muted his microphone, and he didn't know what to do. That was weird.
I just smiled.
Yeah, that's probably right.
I'm back now.
All right, so who are we actually talking about in this game? Because there's if we're talking about a full game stack, that's up to 8 players. Again, Miley really bad. Scott Feldman kind of bad. Where are we going?
How about the guy that's just about as toasty as you can get against righties, Jose Altuve?
He's having a great season. I love his season so far. And, I mean, there are a couple of other options at that second base as far as all-stars go, but I really think he could be in the conversation.
He's hot right now, went 3 for 5 last night. I mean, he's got power. He's got it all.
Yeah, anytime you see a weighted on-base average over 400, you're just assuming that's extremely elite. And there's a lot of guys in this game that are around that number. Miguel Montero for Arizona is at 396 weighted on-base average. Goldschmidt's at 393. They're all approaching like elite status, so that's something I'm looking at. Actually, I'm looking at all 3 of those guys.
Arizona's been really good lately. They've been one of the best offenses to start off the month of June, and I think you could go full stack on them easy with Goldschmidt and Montero. You can find a lot of value in these 2 teams, and that's why I really like these tomorrow. If you throw in Martin Prado, Chris Owings, who was your boy, your value pick.
See, this is how good this team is. You mentioned 2 guys. That's 6. I think that was 4 total. I have 2 other guys that I think would be interesting. You got Didi Gregorius at the top of the lineup. He's a lefty. Again, Feldman is a righty, so I'm trying to put in as many lefty bats as possible. Gregorius at the top of the lineup. He's around the mid-6s. Again, this is a valuable stack you can get in there. You put in Goldschmidt high and put a couple other guys in there low.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can get one of the big pitchers in at this point.
Oh, I think we're going to need to. Although there are a lot of pitchers to talk about on Thursday. We'll
There's
get
only
to
a
that.
couple top guys, though.
Yep.
That is true. All right, now on the other side, you mentioned Altuve. We have to keep talking about George Springer. He's been an absolute beast the past month. He kind of stopped his home run every night deal, but that was to be expected. But it's still been there for offensive statistics.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, his price is kind of creeping up there, so I do get a little bit nervous on that. Just
he's around 8.
He went on that good little home run streak. He had a lot of points coming in there. So
A blooming star for sure, but it is hard to avoid the best guys in a lineup when you're stacking.
So true.
That is true. Another guy that's getting up there in price, not up there in price, but he's moving up very quickly from his minimum original price is John Singleton. In only 8 plate appearances, a 622 weighted on base average. He's
Donald's boy.
He's a lefty who hits lefties, so I'm okay with just hit home runs off lefties.
Does he spell
Cool.
John like you spell John?
Yeah, he does.
It's
Oh,
just
he's
a
my boy.
small-
Yeah, John Singleton's my guy.
It's just such a small sample size, so, I mean, sometimes I do get nervous. Tomorrow's such a
But
good game to pick on.
overall, he's been good, and he's facing a lefty. It's fine.
It's such a good game to pick on. I wouldn't be that worried about it, yeah.
Nope. All right, so let's move on to one or two more stacks. Nick, you got one?
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. Tomorrow I might do a little bit of supplementals like you did a couple of times where you do 2 from this team, 2 from this team.
Yeah, if I don't go 6, I may go 6 players from this Arizona-Houston game and then put in 1 or 2 other game guys. But yeah, I'm not looking for a full stack on any other team.
Yeah.
To be honest.
One other place that I would look, I like picking against Edinson Volquez, and Chicago is not the most attractive team to pick when you're talking about hitters.
Why
But
do you hate Volquez so much?
because he loves to give up home runs. He's only had a couple of games lately that are actually solid. He's overall in his career, his numbers are worse than they've been in the past 2 games.
I don't know what
That's
it is.
will say.
I like Liriano and Volquez, and you apparently hate Liriano and Volquez.
Well, Liriano would have been I think he would have been a
He was
solid
on
pick
pace
last
to be
night. He
good
just
yesterday.
got injured,
Yeah.
so maybe I need to change my mind. I don't know.
Stacking the Cubs.
Yeah, don't
I-
stack the Cubs.
Stacking
Again,
the Cubs
well-
just makes me cringe.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
hang on.
true.
What I'm going to say, though, is that there are 2 or 3 guys from this lineup that regardless of how the rest of the lineup is hitting, these guys could actually get it done. Anthony Rizzo is one of them, but he is a little bit too high priced. He's almost $9,000. But Starlin Castro and Luis Valbuena are 2 good picks there. $7,000 for Castro and $5,200 for Valbuena. Both of those guys could get it done, and I think what you need to do is you need to sprinkle them into your other lineups, figure out how to get them to fit.
That was
Starlin Castro, not to be confused with Sterling Marte.
not even close. All right, let's go with one more stack before we move on to pitchers. I'm looking at. I know you said they cooled off a little bit, but Toronto Blue Jays in Baltimore. This is somewhere we're facing Kevin Gausman. He's only had 2 starts so far, but has gotten tagged in both of these starts. We're facing a righty, so I'm putting probably Adam Lynn, Francisco, a combination of those 2. Just put in some power lefties. These guys are absolutely dominating. Again, Lind is 438 weighted on-base average against righties, and Francisco's 411. So big numbers.
A blind squirrel found a nut last night.
In?
Kevin Correa.
Oh, let's not talk about him.
Personally, I think this is a situation like we saw with Colorado where the prices got high.
Right,
I think it needs to come
that's
back
the
down.
difficulty is that when you're stacking, you still also got to be keeping an eye on value because you're going to ruin your pitcher prospects. I think this is a potential GPP lineup if you're picking Toronto. So much upside, so much power in that lineup, and then you end up putting in some cheaper price pitchers.
That makes sense. All right, let's move on. We got all the stacks in there. Let's talk about the pitchers. We separate them into 3 tiers, 15,000 and up, 10 to 15,000, and 10,000 and under on StarFantasyLeagues.com. There's only 3 elite pitchers going on Thursday. Let's talk about them. Chris Sale, Max Scherzer, and John Lester. Honestly, I'm only liking one guy on this list because he fits the price and he fits the matchup. Do you guys know where I'm going?
Scherzer.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going with your boy Detroit. Max Scherzer against Chicago White Sox, top strikeout percentage. He's actually faced them twice this season, is averaging over 10 points a game. 10 fantasy points a game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like Sale's matchup against Detroit. I think Detroit's such a powerful lineup.
And he's almost
and
21,000.
he's also one of those guys that isn't good. At least at this point in the year, he's not going to end up going the distance.
I do still love Lester. I think he's great no matter who he's facing. He is an ace. He really, every time he trots out to the mound, you know what to expect. Every once in a while, he might throw a bad game, but I think everybody's entitled to a bad game. And at 15,000, he's 6,000 less than Chris Sale. I just think that you could put Scherzer and Lester in tomorrow and feel pretty confident.
My only issue with Lester is that he's facing a team that's 29th in strikeout percentage. If the strikeouts aren't there, if he goes out there and pitches 6 or 7 strikeouts and that's it, then that's not something you're liking out of a guy that costs that much money.
I just feel like the matchup almost doesn't matter when it comes to him because if he's on, it's one of those things that no matter who he's facing, he should be able to get the job done.
All right, so you're on Lester. Zach and I are on
yeah.
Scherzer. All right, tier 2 is Kyle Loesch, Mark Burley, Jeff Samardzija, Josh Tomlin, Rowanus Elias, and Jonathan Neese, who spelled his name with 2 O's. What an idiot. That's not the way you spell Jonathan. I'm sorry.
I know, that really insults you.
All right, although Kyle Loesch just got absolutely trounced on in his last start, having one of the worst starts of the season for a pitcher, I actually like him. I think he has the best matchup on the board against the Mets, especially in Citi Field. Although you talk about pitchers on the road, it's not a great thing, but Citi Field's a great place.
Yeah, well, that bad start actually brought his price way down, like over 2,000 down.
Yes, it did.
And like I just said, I think every starting pitcher is entitled to a really bad start every now and then. You never know what's happening outside of the field. And yeah, I love the matchup. It's a great matchup. I love the way he's been pitching this year. The guy I don't understand still is Mark Burley. I don't get it. I don't understand how he's winning. His career numbers say that he should be getting tagged a lot more. He should be walking a lot more. I don't get it. So I'm not going to take him. Not at 14,000. Probably not even at 12,000. I just can't do it.
I mean, his strikeout numbers have never been there. He just had 7 fantasy points this season against Baltimore. Only 2 strikeouts.
Yeah,
I mean, this is not good.
I feel like this is something that we need to look into further. Is this some sort of reinvention? Because every time we say this is the one he's going to cough up, I mean, right now he is the ace of the staff, the way that he's pitching.
That might be right.
I look at his career numbers and it says elsewise. It says that he should regress.
I completely agree with you.
14 years
It
in the
seems like
majors.
he has to come around and take a tumble eventually.
All right, quickly, we're going to touch on the third tier. We got Wade Miley, Edinson Volquez, Chase Whitley, Kevin Gausman, and Scott Feldman. Anybody interested in anything in this category?
Maybe Chase Whitley.
Yeah, maybe Whitley.
Okay, see, you guys are so against my Edinson Volquez. I love him. The Chicago Cubs, 29th against righties.
I don't think Volquez is a
strike
bad
out at a
pick.
high
Yeah,
clip.
strike out. And I mean, this is a guy that although his strikeout numbers aren't that great this year, he has posted big strikeout games before.
That's what I'm saying, especially against a team that does strike out quite a bit and is as bad as they are against righties. I think that's that's one of the perfect combinations you have to see in pitching. Why are you so against Edinson Volquez? I started him once in this exact same situation. He got me like 8 or 9.
I think he's just going to give up a lot.
Seattle's a really good park to pitch in. Whitley, pretty high strikeout rate so far early in his career. I think they're both decent options if you're looking for value.
Yeah, those are the 2 I got. And everybody else in that category, stack against them. Stack alerts and lots of them.
But watch out for Wade Miley.
Yeah, wait. All right, coming after the break, it is time to break down all of our plays of the day for Thursday. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back, but we are not yet wrapped up on the Star Fantasy League show because we have not yet given you our top plays of the day for Thursday on StarFantasyLeagues.com. So what do you say we do that, Zach?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Does that mean I should go?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
All right. So
I had to think about it for a second. I'm
okay.
sorry.
I have Altuve, as I said before. Love the way he's playing.
Altuve.
Love the matchup. A lot of power from this guy, and the drop-off especially. I mean, you could look at Robinson Cano tomorrow as an option, I think.
Ooh.
But I think other than that, he's the second baseman that you're going to want to put in if you expect to get much power tomorrow. Max Scherzer, I don't think we really need to say much about that. And the guy that has Dom in his name, Matt Dominguez.
Dom in his name.
Stack in Houston. Also, as we talked about, Arizona stack. I'm going to do a 2-team stack there.
Oh, look at you stealing. So we can't. One of us can't use Arizona. Thanks.
No, you
Actually,
can.
we still can. It's fine. All right.
I'm guessing that one or both of you will also do both of those teams.
Yeah. You got a value pick as well? No, you said Dom.
Yeah,
you said Dom. I'm sorry.
Dom Daddy.
All I could think about was Dom, so I got confused. All right, continue, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the Arizona stack then, I guess.
You got. Oh no, whatever.
Well, I have
you gotta
Paul-
be confident for our listeners. Jeez.
I have Paul Goldschmidt. He's going to be my play of the day. He's big power in that lineup. I love his matchup against Feldman. A guy that we didn't get to talk about, he is in the second tier of pitching tomorrow, is Jeff Samardzija. He's a guy that gets overlooked so much because he plays for a really bad team in Chicago. He is a stud all around, and I swear if he played for a better team, he would probably be in contention for the Cy Young, which is my opinion. For a value play, I have Chris Carter. If he plays, first baseman for Houston, just under 5,000. Love his matchup against Miley. He's a righty. Think he has great power. He can always go yard. The only thing I worry about, he does strike out quite a bit. So we'll see what happens.
And he's got the best hands in football.
Chris Carter, y'all.
Oh, my. All right, I got to go last. And every time I go last, you guys steal every single thing I was going to say. But you know what? It's not a problem. I had Scherzer. I had Goldschmidt. But I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to give you a value pitcher of the day instead of a top pitcher. I'm giving you Edinson Volquez. I think his matchup at home against the Cubs is one of the best matchups on the board outside of Max Scherzer.
Every time Jonald does this, he seems to pull something off.
Yeah.
I have done well with finding these diamond in the rough pitchers in good matchups.
Oh, we also didn't talk about him cursing my Detroit game yesterday.
Okay.
Going with Verlander after he said, I'm not going to go with Verlander.
We actually did say at the year that I was going to curse it. All right, so I'm going with
that was
Volquez.
unacceptable.
I'm going with Adam Lind. I'm going for a hard-hitting lefty against Kevin Gausman at Baltimore. I think that he has a good chance to go yard this game. One of these Toronto Blue Jays is probably going yard off Kevin Gausman.
I'm fading him. I'm telling you.
Okay, that's fine. You can put just one of them in there. We all know who I'm going with for my value play of the day. It's Johnny Singleton. Come on. Spells his name correctly. He knows what's up.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that we know who's starting in that Houston game. So we're definitely going to check on that before tomorrow's show. Just because if he starts, then Chris Carter doesn't start. If Chris Carter starts, it could mess everything up.
All right, that is fine. And I am going with that outside of the box. It really isn't that outside of the box because it is Toronto. But let's go with the Toronto Blue Jays since nobody mentioned it. I know I'm probably not going to end up stacking them. I will be in that Arizona-Houston game. But keep in mind, Toronto Blue Jays are still very, very good at baseball.
Yeah, Gausman is not a good pitcher either. So you should be able to stack against him confidently. Just got to make sure that you have a lot of value plays in there.
Yeah, and Camden Yards isn't a bad place to play either.
Not at all.
That is right. It's a great place to get some offense, and that's what you need in daily fantasy sports when the highest over-under the board is 8.5. That's just a sad
Look for those
day.
consistent power hitters.
Colorado, where are you? I have no idea. All
Load
right.
up on pitchers.
If you want to get $5 free in your account, tweet us at SFL Show. Just give us your username. We'll give you $5 free in your account. Thousands of dollars in guaranteed prize pool tournaments every single day at StarFantasyLeagues.com.
We're just giving it away.
I don't want to hear about what you do in your personal life.
Give it away now.
No, why?
Give it away now.
For some reason, I feel like you ruined all of the endings of the show. You want to talk about some food that's left over on the table,
I bet you
too?
have something great for us to hear.
I actually have nothing great for you to hear. I just want to give away free value on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Listen tomorrow. We got lots of great stuff going on. And if you didn't know Wade Miley was the noun version of a chud, we'll help you. We'll help you back a better team next time. Take it easy, guys.